Operation Desert Storm was a modern war fought with high-tech precision weapons, satellite surveillance, and overwhelming firepower. Yet on the ground, survival still depended on something far older: ingenuity. The Arabian Peninsula's heat, dryness, and lack of natural cover forced troops into improvisation far beyond what any field manual anticipated. The Gulf War created an environment where standard-issue gear often failed, supply chains lagged, and the desert punished every mistake. What came out of it was a set of improvised survival hacks, some clever, some desperate, and some officially frowned upon, that reveal how soldiers adapted when the environment proved as dangerous as the enemy. These 7 hacks weren't theories or training exercises, they were real practices developed in the brutal reality of 1991's desert conflict. MRE packaging during Desert Storm was thick, reflective, and nearly indestructible. That made it ideal for improvising water capture systems. Troops discovered they could use empty MRE bags as condensation traps when placed over damp sand or on the inside walls of vehicles that heated dramatically during the day. The condensation would form on the interior surface and pool at the bottom of the bag, creating small but meaningful amounts of drinking water. Some soldiers extended the method, using the reflective outer layers as makeshift solar still components. Paired with a poncho and a canteen cup, an MRE wrapper could help drive condensation into a central reservoir. It was never a full replacement for rationed water. But when temperatures rose past 120 degrees, every ounce counted. Shade was a luxury the desert refused to provide. Soldiers quickly learned that the fastest way to drop heat stress was by increasing shade coverage, even if only by a few square feet. Discarded cargo parachutes became one of the most valuable forms of battlefield debris. Parachute nylon offered several advantages. It was lightweight, durable, and large enough to cover small groups or vehicle crews. Infantry units would rig triangular sections between Humvees, dig shallow pits underneath, or stretch panels between MRE crates hammered into the ground as stakes. Even a thin polyester canopy dropped surface temperatures by double digits. Although technically unauthorized, salvaging parachute material was supposed to be controlled. Commanders often overlooked it because heat casualties posed a more immediate threat than supply discipline. One of the more ingenious hacks came from engineering and artillery units, filling empty .50 caliber ammo cans with sand and using them as cooling masses. The idea was, honestly, just simple physics. Sand heats slowly, cools slowly, and, even in the desert, stays cooler than air for much of the day once shaded. Placing an ammo can wrapped in cloth near sleeping areas, inside tents, or beside vehicles created a localized temperature buffer. The sand acted as a thermal anchor, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it gradually at night. Troops would also bury the cans halfway to exploit cooler subsurface sand. It wasn't refrigeration, but it helped stabilize temperature swings that otherwise made rest nearly impossible. During Desert Storm, troops often learned the hard way that cooking fires created visible signatures. These included smoke, scent, and heat differentials that could easily be detected by enemy forces equipped with infrared technology. So, this really pushed soldiers to improvise with low-signature methods. The most reliable solution turned out to be using the exhaust systems of vehicles, especially Humvees and M113 APCs. These were used to heat food, boil water, or even sterilize metal tools. By securing MRE pouches near, but not directly touching, the exhaust manifold, troops could heat their meals without producing any smoke. Pretty clever, huh? And, the same technique allowed for emergency sterilization of small blades and medical instruments. It's amazing how resourceful they had to be in such challenging conditions. Mechanics were particularly skilled at this, often building small racks or metal boxes to hold items safely during heating. It wasn't elegant, but it worked, and avoided visible signatures that could draw fire. Desert water was often muddy, sandy, or chemically treated from bulk supply trucks. To make it more drinkable, both in flavor and clarity, soldiers built simple sand filtration systems using canteen cups, spare cloth, and layers of fine-grained sand taken from the top 3 inches of the desert surface. These weren't purifiers, they didn't remove pathogens, but they dramatically reduced particulates, making iodine tablets or issued purification solutions more effective. The filtered water also caused fewer gastrointestinal issues, which was a constant problem for troops who relied heavily on chemically treated bulk water. Some units refined the method further by adding layers of charcoal taken from burned fuel tabs, creating a primitive carbon filter. It was unofficial, but it improved morale and hydration significantly. One of the surprises of the Gulf War was just how cold the desert could become at night. Temperatures would sometimes drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which was honestly pretty shocking after those daytime highs soaring over 100 degrees. Many troops, especially during rapid deployments, just didn't have enough insulation to keep warm. The solution, interestingly enough, came from supply packaging, specifically the cardboard cases used for ammunition, MREs, and medical supplies. Soldiers would flatten the cardboard, layer it between sleeping bag covers, or sometimes wedge it under cots and ground mats. Windbreaks were also really essential. By stacking flattened boxes on the windward side of foxholes or sleeping areas, troops could cut down on wind chill and blowing sand. It was primitive, but honestly, it made the difference between sleepless shivering and, well, functional rest. Despite all the modern communications, Desert Storm's terrain caused frequent radio dead zones. Improvised signal mirrors became essential, especially during vehicle breakdowns, dust storms, and dismounted reconnaissance operations. Anything reflective became a signaling tool. MRE heater lids, razor-sharp mess kit tin, polished knife blades, and broken Humvee mirrors all worked. Troops used them to mark positions for recovery vehicles or to direct aircraft during resupply operations. You know, in the open desert, a glint of reflected sunlight could be seen for miles. It's pretty amazing how something so simple can be so effective, right? These tools weren't official issue, but let me tell you, they were reliable, silent, and immune to battery failure. Advantages that mattered more than any doctrine you could think of. Survival in Desert Storm wasn't just about equipment, not at all. It was about adaptation, improvisation, and creative use of whatever was on hand. These field-expedient hacks reveal how troops endured one of the harshest environments on Earth, relying not on technology alone, but on resourcefulness passed quietly between those who lived through it. Quite a testament to human ingenuity, don't you think? Super strange visual watermark on screen.